Hello, Justin here, welcome to another video. Today we're going to be looking at how to set up the dotted eighth delay. It's a really cool guitar setting. I mean, every guitar player should try it out just for fun, even if you're not a U2 fan or a Hillsong fan. So what is a dotted eighth? Let's be technical a little bit. A dotted eighth is an eighth note and half of its value added onto it. If you think in 16th notes and subdivide a dotted eighth, you're essentially going to get one eighth note and one 16th note. So it's two 16th notes and one 16th note. So what do you get? You get 3 over 16. So I find it easier to explain 3 over 16 to guitar players because we tend to think very linearly in 16th notes. So if I were to pick a tempo and if I were to, let's pick a slow tempo and just tap out 16th notes. The dotted eighth is going to sit in the pocket of every 3 repeats. So it's going to sound a bit like this when you have the accents on tap, 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 tap. So there are 3 ways to achieve a dotted eighth. There's the tap tempo way, which is the easiest, and it's very achievable with modern technology and modern pedals. The second way is a manual calculation based on if you know the tempo of the song and if you have one of those delays with a display on it that shows milliseconds. And the third way is the good old knob tweaking way, which is no displays, no tap tempo, just 3 knobs or 4 knobs, depends what delay pedal you have. It's important to feel the dotted eighth so that when you approach a situation where you don't have dials or displays and just knobs, you're able to hear and listen for it. So let's switch to guitar and handicap mode and we shall get started. Let's try to achieve the dotted eighth delay with an effect pedal that's pretty modern, such as the DD20 over here. So let's say we have something like, your pure guitar signal and you dial up to something, let's just pick a standard mode or something. Okay, that sounds nothing like the dotted eighth delay, so let's try and get it to sound right. The effect level is pretty important. You want this to be slightly higher because you want the repeats to be at a volume that's nearly as loud as your notes you're playing. Then you want the feedback to be lower because you want the notes to die out and not, stick around too long. I like to keep this around here because this means that your repeats will die out at the end of 4 counts thereabouts. So okay, that still doesn't have, that's rhythmically incorrect. So you have to change the tempo type. And as you can see here, this is a dotted eighth. If you don't know music notation, look out for the squiggly line with a little tail and a dot. So if let's say someone messes up your settings and it gives you something crazy like this, at least you know how to tap back. Select back to a dotted eighth, which is this one over here. So look out for that. So a big problem is how do we start to go about converting from BPM to milliseconds if you have a delay unit that only shows you in milliseconds. Well, let's start with an arbitrary number. We don't exactly know what numbers to pick and choose so that we can make a conversion. So let's try 100 BPM and just go through the logic, okay? So 100 BPM means that there are 100 quarter notes that happen in that 1 minute. 1 minute is 60 seconds, so 1 quarter note is going to last 60 over 100 BPM. Now you want to convert the seconds to milliseconds, so you multiply that seconds by 1,000. What you will end up with is that 1 quarter note will last 600 milliseconds. 1/16th note is 1 quarter of a quarter note, so you divide that further by 4. So 1/16th note at 100 BPM will last 150 milliseconds. So actually the solution is pretty simple. 3/16th notes in that case will last 3 times the milliseconds of a quarter note over 4. If I were to replace the 100 BPM with an unknown variable such as a Y BPM, I take note of the important numbers. Remember the 60, remember the 1,000, remember the 4. So actually 3/16th notes, the conversion is pretty simple. It is 45,000 over the tempo of your song.
So let's take the calculation. Let's try 45,000 divided by, we were at 120 BPM. So that's set to 375. This delay is slightly faster actually, it's 345. So we had to dial up the tempo just a little bit more to 375 to get it to sync. Okay, that was a very flatulent guitar, but I apologize for that. So let's get back to the metronome and it should sync. Lastly, let's check out how to find the $8 delay on a pedal where you've got no dials, no displays, just knobs, and this is nothing like the $8 sound. So we need to find a way to get this sound right. If I have a pedal like this, what I'll start with is I will take a metronome, I'll set the tempo of the song, and I'll try to dial in the tone accordingly. Because what you want to try and achieve is you want the delay repeats to sit in the pocket of the metronome, as what I just described earlier before we started. So remember what I said about the blend and the repeat. On different pedals will be named differently, but this is essentially the effect level and the feedback. So keep this high. You want the repeats to be of the same volume as your notes. Keep this middle somewhere here so that the repeats die out after 4 counts, or slightly more, slightly less, depends on what feel you're going for. If your delay is in the long mode, I suggest switching to the short mode, because this will reduce your delay range from 1,000 milliseconds down to 600 milliseconds on this particular delay pedal at least. So let's try to lock in the tempo. Okay, it's a little bit too long, so I need to shorten the delay range a little bit. So if I were to that's nearly there, still slightly off. Much better. So this is roughly 420 milliseconds, which is the same timing, I believe, as my Geiger delay. And well, that's it for me. I hope you found this useful in finding out different ways of setting a $8 delay into your delay pedals. I hope you had fun. This is Justin signing off.